Can you all smell that? Yes, the smell of supersonic flight going faster than the speed of sound at Mach 2, which is literally 2 times the speed of sound. Sadly though, a smell that we haven't been able to actually smell since 2003 when this plane was retired, the Concorde. Literally next to the Tupolev Tu-144, the only ever supersonic plane, and yeah, this now, whatever. It's gone! It's gone! It's very much gone. The only time you can be inside of a Concorde anymore is in any, aviation museum. I've actually made a video on one, but that's another story. But this plane now, definitely from a flying perspective, is dead. So sad. And this plane is probably complaining right now, because we're actually quite a bit too fast, even. Yeah, Mach 2.02. Welcome back, Twisters, everyone. But no, this plane was retired back in 2003, obviously because it had some major issues. Not because it was a bad plane, but because it was an expensive plane. Expensive is probably the good point about this plane. It was not very efficient. Also, financially efficient. Airlines did not make money, and when something does not make money, it can't really exist, which is probably exactly what happened here to the Concorde. Ticket prices of a normal Concorde flight was around that of like a first class ticket, and we all know what the seating on the Concorde looked like, and it was not particularly that comfortable compared to an actual first class flight, of course. I mean, look at the afterburners. Have you ever seen an airliner that has afterburners? No, because it's absolutely inefficient, because, yeah, if you don't know what afterburners are, it's basically just throwing more fuel into the engine, just like that, just spraying it, which does increase the power of a plane quite a bit, but, the fuel consumption too. So yeah, incredibly expensive aircraft, not particularly comfortable, but fast, and very, very exciting. But now dead, because again, no money. But there's some great news today from United Airlines. We haven't always had good news from, especially United Airlines. Okay, and well, I found out about it on the Instagram page. They did some interesting influencer stuff today. On their Instagram page, they have turned gay, and also, they only have one post now. They have deleted all their old posts and just left one, and that is this one. Yeah, it says Supersonic is here. Let's watch that clip, or shall we? I'm not quite sure. Well, they basically have this interesting video here, which features this plane. Supersonic is here. Oh, wait. Is that not the Concorde? Well, it does kind of look like a Concorde. Maybe it looks like the Concorde's child or something. And well, if you have been into aviation recently, you may remember what this plane kind of looks like. We also have it here in the flight simulator as a model. Boom. Over. Sure, everybody. Yes, exactly this Concorde child-looking plane. Now, they say here in their actual statement, we are the first U.S. airline to sign an agreement with Boom Supersonic. To anyone that really does not know Boom Supersonic, or well, / this plane, Boom Supersonic is like an aviation company that has been working on making this exact plane, the Overture. Overture is a French word, and I think it means open or something. It doesn't really matter. And well, and just their bio says Supersonic is here, which, I mean, probably coming, isn't it? Yeah, no, this is really the plane that they have been working on. This is really just a flight simulator mock-up as well. I mean, if we take a look into the cockpit, this is, of course, not what the final product is going to look like. Of course, this is, I think, a 747-style cockpit. But what we do already have is some pictures of what the cabin, for example, could look like. This is the cabin. As you can tell, this is not particularly that wide of a plane, but definitely way more comfortable than, for example, the Concorde. I mean, look at this. This is very beautiful of a cabin indeed. But yeah, it is really nice though that we do have a bit of an opportunity to check out what this plane looks like and how it flies here in the flight simulator, isn't it? Even though again, this is just it's a little mock-up. In fact, they say here in this Instagram post that even the graphic here, wait a second, this one here is just a conceptual render. Okay, supersonic planes to join United's fleet. But no, actually the big news is though that this whole plane is now kind of moving on from just being a little bit of a concept people dream about to actually becoming reality. Again, with United being the first airline to actually sign this plane. And they actually want to buy 50 of these, or like 15 or up to 50. They want to really work with the aircraft manufacturer. They see definitely a future in this plane, and this thing will actually be flying within the next 10 years, indeed. Which is interesting. I mean, this plane does look very promising. For example, of course, they are trying to make sure to get rid of that problem with the efficiency. For example, this plane does not have afterburners, which kind of ruins the fun. You know, it's kind of like comparing to drive a Tesla and like a Lexus LFA, which sounds like the heaven of earth. Yeah, I mean, you know, afterburners are just really bad. But also talking about engines, we only now have 3 engines instead of 4 engines on board with this tail engine here. And these are apparently powerful. I mean, maybe we could do a little bit of a short runway takeoff here. How about that? This is a perfectly fine one. Okay, looking good. Come on, let's get this beautiful supersonic aircraft taken off. Oh, this is actually working. Oh, I may just like the Overture plane. I mean, of course, the physics on board here are not particularly the most realistic because, again, this is really just a mock-up here in the Flight Simulator 2, and we are going to crash into some boats. We'll come back to Swiss Air 1. But yeah, this is actually genuinely exciting here. Now, what else do they say here on Instagram? Fly New York to London in 3.5 hours, San Francisco to Tokyo in 6 hours. That is just how fast the Concorde could do, I think. What else did they post? Okay, this is another shot of the cabin. Doesn't this look nice, but pretty luxurious? I'm pretty sure this will be another very premium plane, premium only plane. I don't think there will be economy class on this one. There will just be business and maybe first, because again, it's not really the largest, and especially not the widest. You cannot fit a proper cabin in here, so I'm pretty sure this will just be maybe even a replacement again for the normal business or first class. So this is basically a business or first plane. Yeah, great. All right, and we can do a proper takeoff here from Palma de Mallorca. But yeah, other than the engines, for example, this plane looks very similar to the Concorde. The wings are a little interesting. This is for the first time that I'm seeing an actual airliner with wings that are, you know, shaped down and not shaped up. We'll come back to Scientific 001. I think they've worked on that, but we can still see the same wing shape, the delta wing design, which is definitely required to reach some high speeds, or to be able to reach some high speed and not fall apart, to put it that way. But no, I'm really excited about this plane. So they say here as well, sustainable. Expected to be the first large commercial aircraft to be net zero carbon from day one. What does that mean? Okay, so they developed the plane without any carbon emissions. What? Oh, and look at this beautiful photo here. Just a lot of United Overtures. How about that? Yeah, it looks very much like the Flight Simulator model indeed, even though this one right now is inside of a building. Welcome back to Swiss Air 1. Yep, United goes supersonic. That is just great to see. Okay, so actually on their website here of Boom Supersonic, they're actually showing some dates here. 2025, that'll be the actual rollout of the model. That's the first time where we can see what the actual plane is going to look like, what the cockpit is going to look like, maybe even the cabin. So that's good to see. Then a year later, this thing will take flight. This seems a little unreal. I mean, look at this plane. Isn't it awesome? And again, 2029. Supersonic passenger travel. How about that? Well, maybe this plane is going to be better than the Concorde indeed, right? I mean, it won't have the vintage magic again of the afterburners and all that stuff and the very complicated cockpit, which does have something to it, but it's got supersonicness and delta wing, and it's just absolutely beautiful, by the way. I mean, even the Flight Simulator model, which obviously isn't very well modeled. I mean, look at this, but this is going to be beautiful. All right, let's take off here. And no Snoop Troop required, and this plane really is crazy at this performance. Wow. Now, of course, there are still a few problems about this plane that are, let me just say, scientifically limited. For example, I'm pretty sure they cannot get rid of that, you know, sonic boom sound that you do get when you actually reach the sound of speed. I mean, the speed of sound. Let me just say this was actually a big problem of the Concorde not being to fly over land. You know, the Concorde only flew above oceans because down at the ground, when you fly with this kind of plane at Mach 1 or above, the sound on the land, on the ground, is going to be super loud because, again, you are faster than the speed of sound. Yeah, that is actually going to be probably a limit that's going to be kept pretty much forever. Even though I think they're working on that with the X-29 or something. It doesn't really matter. It's just all very specific. But whatever. Flying above ocean works too. London, for example, New York, or, you know, Trans-Pacific routes. This is all going to be fine. But I'm very much looking forward to that, aren't we? So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching today's video. And I'll see you guys tomorrow, as always. Good night. Now, thank you to my members here on YouTube like Block, Emite, Mubarak, Mike, Ethan, Darren, Stefan, Ian, Oman the Human, Rafael Brukowski, Junk in the Trunk, Moritz, Toby, Great Grandpa John, Government Pasta, Calamity Airlines, Kelly Chaos, New York, Tyler Park, Cheese Doritos, Shadow, Anime Plane 001, X-Men Shoulder, Deslama, featuring Kellen, Me By You, Captain Cameron, Spiro, Gary, Norwegian, Bajel, and Parology.